Hey Base Builders, welcome back to day 2 of 10 Days of Base. I am Sneha, co-founder of Web3 Compass, and if you were here yesterday, you know that we kicked things off on the right note. For those who have hopped on this video out of chance, you are at the right place. Web3 Compass, in collaboration with Dev3 Pack and Base, are hosting 10 Days of Base as part of Base Batches preparation. I don't know how many times did I just say base, but okay. In day 1, we plunged into what base is, why is it such a big deal, and then we actually pushed our very first smart contract on base, a simple greeting contract, which is live on the base Sepolia testnet. That's right, our code is officially living on the blockchain, so you can give a pat on the back. You totally earned it. But there's more. We'll do way more than this. Today's goal is to go from code to clickable app. And that, my friend, is exactly what day 2 is going to be all about. Today, we're bridging that gap. We're going from raw smart contract to a beautiful interactive front-end application. Not that beautiful though, but still. We're going to build a real web page interface that lets users connect their wallet, peep their ETH balances, sign messages, and eventually actually interact with those contracts that we'll continue building. So we're bringing all of it to life. By the end of this session, you will walk away by knowing how to magically scaffold a whole front-end project with just one command, using create-onchain. Seriously, it's a time machine. And to pull this off, we're going to dive into OnchainKit. This isn't just a library, it's like your personal Web3 genie, which is making those complex wallet connections and blockchain interactions feel almost effortless. So, as part of this, we're also going to look into configuring Coinbase Developer Platform API key, which is the secret sauce that makes OnchainKit works magic. The nitty-gritty of setting up environment variables the right way, keeping it safe, understanding wagme.config.ts, that orchestrates all of your wallet connections for Base Sepolia. We'll go through every single line, how OnchainKit providers work, why do we need 3 layers of providers wrapping up our application, how to connect user wallets and proudly display their ETH balances using WAGMI hooks, how to get users to sign messages, which is a fundamental gasless superpower, how to create configuration file with the ABI, which is the blueprint of for talking to a smart contract, how to build a custom React hook that makes contract interactions feel like regular function calls. And then how do we pick up the greeting contract from day 1 onto our front end and reading and writing data. So yeah, get ready to connect the dots. Let's turn our contract into a clickable, shareable experience. Wow. Feels like a dish that we're going to prepare. But yeah, for everyone who's new, here is the entire curriculum. You can read all about Base OnchainKit on the documentation here. There are multiple areas of it. There are quick starter templates, and we're going to use this one. And then the doc section is pretty cool. We will look into it while we're talking about it in general. So this is our power command. I should just copy it also. And yeah, too many things. So let's just get to windsurf. Okay, so what we will do, so in 10 days of base, which we were using yesterday, the folder, that is my first base project. So we will create another, which is day 2. And yeah, so now let this be. Now this is our day 2 folder. And as it said first, we're going to use npm create onchain latest. So now it is going to ask us a few friendly questions, and that is where we get to customize our starter kit. Like, for example, what is the project name? So we will just say base batches day 2. Okay. So it says enter your Coinbase developer platform client API key. So now if you come here and you say Coinbase developer API, I think there is one particular link that actually works. Okay. So this is the link that works, which is wow. Please don't tell me I have to sign in again. No. Okay, continue. This is oh God. Wait. Let me just show you another. Portal.cdp. Okay, let's close this. We'll wait for it to open. Okay, so what happens is generally how you actually create an API key every time. That is how you go create an API here. Let me just bring it here and you should be able to see it. So there's a create API section and then there would be projects and then, okay, billing team, APIs, whatever. I don't want to API key, but you just have to copy it from there and let's close it. Let's come back to Windsurf again. So I will, my API key. Let's go. Let's see. I don't want to share anonymous data on chain. Great. So it says creating base batches too. And yeah, it sometimes might just ask more such questions, but okay. It would probably ask wallet connect library, language stuff, and all of that. Now what we would do is it says run the following commands. So we will say cd base batches to create, and then we do a npm install. Okay, great. I wish I could copy paste everything. And then there's, oh, okay. So there's no need to run the npm run dev thingy right now because before we fire up the dev server, we really need to do some critical configuration. And this is super important. We need to set up our API keys and environment variables. So we've gotten our CDP API key. This is the key which allows us to tap into OnchainKit, and using that, we'll tap into Coinbase's infrastructure for smooth wallet connections, better transaction handling, and a bunch of other powerful features. And the best part is it's completely free for development. So once you get that key, all the process, get the API key, create a new project, blah, blah, blah. I've shown you in like 2x speed, but yeah, you can figure that out. Okay. So now we need to configure our environment variables. I mentioned this yesterday also, and it's super important. Please don't push it to GitHub. This is where we're going to store our sensitive information like our API key and wallet private key and so many other things. So please don't mess with it. So in the next.js projects, we use a special file called .env.local for this. So in our project root, that is the base frontend day 2 folder. So there's nothing in day 2. It's okay. We were inside day 2 first. Oh, shit. I did not enter the day2 directory, even though I created it, so it's fine. I deleted it. Cool. So now what we will do is, once this step is done, I don't know why is it taking forever. Also, my device is pretty slow. So we'll run this command called touch.env.local, which will help us get everything up and ready. But in the meanwhile, let's close this readme. In the meanwhile, you will see that with everything that we created, there's a global.css file, there's a layout.tsx, there's page.module.css, okay, page.tsx, which has certain things around in here. And then there's something called as root provider. So these are what comes as a template when you are doing that npm create on chain. And there's a .env file. Okay, sorry. Git ignored, ESLint configuration, all of that. My God, why are you so slow, sweetheart? It's super slow. Okay, what went wrong? Okay, finally it's happening. Okay, so when we do a touch.env local, this is how our file looks like. So we can just paste it here. Now there are multiple such variable names that would come in, and right now I've kept a placeholder because I don't want to show you the API, but why does this start with next underscore public underscore? Now you need to know that this is super important in next.js. That prefix tells next.js that this variable should be available in the browser in your client side. Without it, your React components won't be able to access this value. But also remember, because it's public, never ever put truly sensitive information like private keys here with this prefix. Now, let's give your project a friendly name. So there would be also next public oncheck project name, and then there would be Sepolia URL, which is like simple, straightforward. Yeah. Okay, so now this is the base public's RPC endpoint for Sepolia testnet. We have also looked at it yesterday. We can use services like Alchemy to get the RPC URL and all of that. And then there is, next up, we have to enter the contract address. Now, this might be super confusing for a few people that, okay, we didn't really save anything that we did yesterday. So that is a reminder that you should. But if you come in here and, okay, I had it saved because I know that I'm going to use this. So this is where generally you will have this in your, this was 1 day ago, right? So, and then I tested it with another one. So that is what you can just add here. And what? And then there would be a public chain ID, right? So these are the information that you need here. Okay, cool. Now, some of it, you know, some of it is now, okay? So you also need to see that how our env.local should be here. If it's not, then we need to add it because again, you cannot push it to GitHub. So you have to be super careful with that. And please don't add such valuable information. Okay. Cool. Now I will just remove my .env.getinfo local. Okay. So now what we will look at is the brain of our wallet connections, which is the wagme.config.tsx. So 1 second. So we need to go create a wagmi dot config dot ts file. Wagmi dot config.ts file. Okay. Now, Wagmi is the library that handles all the complex wallet connection logic, and the config file is where we tell exactly how to behave for our base Sepolia app. So we're going to go through this file line by line because it's absolutely crucial. Okay. And yeah, so if create-onchain did not create this, we have to do it on our own. And now let's import everything. So if you come back here, come to base OnchainKit, we had docs, right? Come in here. And now you will see, this is the Wagmi provider that we are talking about. And we'll just copy this, come back here, it. Okay. This is mostly everything that we are going to do, what is important, what is not. So, okay. Some of it you might just need later, but we're saying, okay, this is the React import, great, but from Wagmi, we're importing HTTP, create config. Now, HTTP here is for HTTP transport, how we communicate with the blockchain, and create config, which is the function that builds our configuration object. From Wagmi chains, we are importing base Sepolia. Wagmi comes with pre-configured chain definitions for tons of network, and base Sepolia is one of them. If you were using any other network, you could just have added that there. And then from Wagmi connectors, we're importing the wallet connectors that we want to support. Coinbase wallet for Coinbase, MetaMask for MetaMask, and so on. Like, depending on which wallet do you really want to use. Yes, so because we're going to use MetaMask wallet, everybody has it, so we will just yeah, I think it's just MetaMask. So that's fine. Okay. Cool. So we have now added the wallet that we wanted to use. Now let's go to environment variables here. Okay. Okay, that part is not here. Cool, no worries. Now we need to add certain environment variables. Like generally we want project ID and we want RPC URL. So instead of openly adding it here, we will import it from our env, and we do it like this. So we say const project ID, and this is basically our Coinbase developer platform API key. Sorry, ignore. Now that people have watched my videos, they know I have this caps lock issue. So we say, okay, project ID process.env.next public project ID. And then we say const RPC URL is equals to process dot env dot next public. Okay, we want it to be base Sepolia RPC URL. I don't know why is this coming in. Let's see. And then we can also, okay, what is the problem? Okay, this is good. So this will just pick up things from our .env. Now, project ID is optional. It's for Wallet Connect if you use the Wallet Connect cloud service, but I've still written it. And the RPC URL pulls from our environment variable. Now, the main configuration, this is where the magic really happens. So we say Wagmi config, create config. I generally go with, yeah, it's fine. It could also be written as export const config, create config, chains, base Sepolia, connectors. Instead of Coinbase, because we are using MetaMask, we can just go about adding more. Like, doesn't matter what have you added and what you haven't. It could just be multiple connectors altogether. So we say MetaMask. Tab metadata, and now we've actually added a name for it. So we say name base frontend day 2. It should be under a single quotes. Okay, cool. And then you do this and okay, here, and there will be a comma here. This should be fine, right? Okay, let us save this, and I don't know. What did I do wrong? Oh, sorry. It's metadata. Oh, not this tab. Okay, so now what we're doing is basically, so chains we've understood base Sepolia. This array will tell WAGMI which blockchain network our dApp supports. Right now we are only using base Sepolia. If you wanted to make a multi-chain dApp, you would add more chains here. Connectors, this is super cool. This array defines which wallet users can connect with. Each connector is configured individually. For MetaMask, we're passing dApp metadata with our app name. This is what shows up in MetaMask when users connect the platform or the application with MetaMask. For Coinbase, we'll do something special. It's smart wallet only. Let's skip that. We're not using it. For Wallet Connect, okay. Now there is SSR, which is enabling server-side rendering support. Next.js can render pages on the server before sending them to the browser. And this flags make sure that WAGMI plays nice with that. So it is important for performance and SEO. And then there's transports. This is how WAGMI actually communicates with the blockchain. We're creating a mapping for base Sepolia chain ID, uses HTTP transport with our RPC URL. So think of it as setting up the communication channel. The base Sepolia.id is using computed property names. It's dynamically setting the key to base Sepolia chain ID number. Now, instead of this, we will just add, because we're going to use a TypeScript, we will just add a certain module here. Let me type it. So we say declare module WAGMI, and it says interface register. Now, what is it here? So this particular section, it tells TypeScript about a specific WAGMI configuration. So we get perfect type safety and autocomplete throughout our entire app. When you use WAGMI hooks later, TypeScript will know exactly which chains and connectors are available. So that is why we say, okay, sorry, config type of this config is fine. What is that? What is the error here? A mistake that we were doing here, and why this was coming as config and red mark, is because we've created a WAGMI config here. So we will create a WAGMI config here. And okay. So now that we said, okay, this is how it looks like. The config file is super powerful, and when a user clicks connect wallet, WAGMI uses this config to show them right options, handle connection flow and everything, blah, blah, blah. the provider layers, which is wrapping up our app, and understanding OnchainKit and WAGMI providers. So we now wrap our entire application with some provider components. If you're familiar with React, you know that providers are components that make data and functionality available to all of their children. We are going to set up 3 layers of providers, and I'll explain why exactly we need each one of it. So we will go to root provider.tsx. Yes, this is the file. So you will see that this is automatically generated when we did npm create onchain. So we have a few imports. Use client import React Node base Sepolia onchain. Actually, let's see if there's base Sepolia here. So we want this to be base Sepolia from WAGMI. Then there's OnchainKit provider, and then there's WAGMI provider. Okay, so we need WAGMI provider as well. Import provider from WAGMI. Okay, and we need to query client stuff from React query, so we will need to import that as well. So we say import query. Okay, yes, it says query client provider from TanStack React query. Great. And then we have Coinbase OnchainKit style.css. Great, but we need to also import the config from wagmi.config, right? So we say import config. Okay. So now we need to also query our client. Okay, what is wrong? So we say wagmi config. No. The day I want to really record something would stop. But it's so let's look at how is this looking. So we say now that we want to query from our client, and React Query is a library for managing server state. In our case, blockchain data, it handles caching, refetching, and keeping our UI in sync with the blockchain. We create one query client and share it across our whole app. This is created outside the component, so it does not get recreated on every render. And then here is our provider component. Okay, so you see export function, root provider, children, React Node, return, WAGMI provider, query client provider. No, there's no query client provider. So we write one. Okay. So WAGMI provider becomes the foundation. It takes our WAGMI config and makes all of WAGMI's functionality available to our app. Every WAGMI hook, use account, use balance, use write contract, they all need provider to work. We're passing in that config object we created earlier. Now, query client provider, it's super important that this wraps our app with React queries functionality. So we just quickly write. Okay. And then there will be something. Okay. So if you want to navigate away and come back, this is where it will help. The data is still there. It also handles refetching when the data gets stale. It's incredibly powerful. And next up, we'll have OnchainKit provider. So that is the OnchainKit magic layer. And inside that, we have multiple things. I will show you how. So we say OnchainKit provider. And then we have API key here. That's how we are fetching it. Chain, base Sepolia. And then there is config. So appearance, mode auto, wallet, modal all, preference. We don't need a preference. My God, I have just messed up the entire thing. Okay, cool. This is here. And okay. So, yeah, so we were at the chain, config, wallet, great. And then there is children. This is where our actual app content goes. Everything that we've built will be wrapped in these three layers of provider goodness. And I mean, look at it. How beautiful is this nesting? Like, amazing, right? And this is where code really makes me happy. So anyway, so now we need to actually use this provider. So let's go open app.layout.tsx. Okay. Great. So we have a lot of content here already. So let's look at it. Root provider. Okay, great. Function, root layout. Yes. Children, okay, React.Node, okay, return. Cool. This is perfect. Now, every component that we're looking at has access to WAGMI, React Query, and OnchainKit. This is the foundation where everything builds on, and this is by default. Okay. We have all of this important things here. Now, we'll also look at the main page component, and this is all auto-generated. We have not really done anything here. 1 second. I think there was a background app running. I had put some things to work. Okay. Cool. Yes. So now let's go to the page.tsx section. So now this is where sort of the main page component is, and I'm going to walk you through the entire section. But before that, let's do cd 10 days of yes. Then cd this batches. Okay, let's see how the current front end looks like at least. And then we will, what just happened? Why was that on the screen? Okay, so let's follow the link. Where did it go? Okay, here. Now it will show why, like, I wanted to show you like how exactly it looks before we go to the main page component and start using things. Okay, so while it loads, it's okay. Let's look at the code. My device is insanely slow these days. I don't know why, but okay. So we're looking at imports, and for the main page.tsx, we have use client, but we have to use state and use effect from React for managing component state. So we will quickly write that. State use effect from React. Okay. Then we have styles from page.module.css. Okay. Then we have image. Okay, not necessary. And then we have wallet from Coinbase OnchainKit wallet. But then we also need to use account, use balance, use sign message from WAGMI, because we're anyway going to use it, but that can also come in later. Okay. But from WAGMI, we are anyway going to bring these three hooks. So use account gives us the info about the connected wallet. Use balance fetches the ETH balance, and use sign message lets user sign messages. So even AI is suggesting it. So we say use account, use balance, and then use sign from web. Okay. Now inside our component, we first export the function home, and then we have a few things here. Div class name, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what this is. So we will just do what we understand is better. And that is why we would look at a few things like, okay, address. What is the wallet's Ethereum address? Is connect? Is a Boolean telling us that our wallet is connected? Maybe data balance. I want to see data balance. Like, what apart from that information am I interested in? So we are going to write all of that. So let's say, okay, home, great. We will open this up, and there are a lot more things that we will do, but let's look at these first. So we say const, then we say, okay, I want the address. I want, is the wallet connected? Because address of the wallet again. And what chain is it? Okay. And then we say, we will use the use account hook for it. Great. Then I want to use or look at data balance. Okay, what is the balance of the wallet that I want to see? So we say we will use the use balance hook, and we will take it from what address? But that is, I missed the balances. Okay, cool. What next? So we want to look at signed messages. Data signatures. What if you are signing something? Is it pending? Is it not pending? So, okay, AI suggests this. And then message, okay, pending? No. So we say data signature, yes. Signed message, yes. No. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, data signature, but I want to say sign message. Great. And then I also want to look at is sign net, is pending, right? And then we say is sign pending. And for that, we'll use sign message, right? And then there is no need of this hello world. We don't know what message we are actually looking at. So that is more of it that we wanted to see here. Now, okay, we have looked at the chain ID, blah, blah, blah. But do we want to see the chain ID of the person? Okay, let's look at it. So I also want to say that, hey, what if const is correct network? Because we want it to be on base Sequoia. So we say chain. Wow, that was loud. Where is the question mark symbol again? Okay. Chain.id is equals to 845. Okay, cool. So this makes sense. And this is still compiling. The base team really needs to send me the best MacBook that they can, so that I can build more mini apps and content. But anyway, okay, so now we have checked the chain ID, everything. Now, here are certain return statements, which more like becomes the actual UI. If you look at this particular section where we're talking about this wallet, this is like the main OnchainKit pre-built wallet component. This one line gives us a beautiful, fully functional wallet connect button. When users aren't connected, it shows connect wallet. When they're connected, it shows their address and balance and lets them disconnect. OnchainKit handles all of this for us using our WAGMI provider and on-chain provider under the hood. Now, what is also relevant is when we were creating here, so wallet display model, if it's on auto, then you might not just like see that pop up or signing an angle. So you have to look at that as well. Like, do you want it? I really want MetaMask to ask me, like, hey, can I connect your wallet and all of that? Okay. So now, okay, what do we want to do? All of this is not required. So I actually want to see the user's info when they are connected. And for that, we will need to use conditional rendering where we're saying is connected and address, and then look into div um, particular class and section of it. So okay, so we will do a lot of such. Okay, so let's do one thing. Okay, let's do one thing. We will, I wish I could just show you this. One second. This should work. Come on. So right now our page.tsx says that, okay, whatever information that you have here, there is also a div that has content, and there's a picture which is of a sphere with 200, height 200, class name, class title, OnchainKit, and these are all by default values that we are looking at, right? So I want to load super quickly, but if you come on the box, is my network so slow? So this is how it's going to look like on our front end, which is not what we want. So we will change a lot of things here, only if it just loads on time. Also, our root.provider.tsx file was showing an error, and that is because there was an extra dot here when I wrote this. So yeah, sorry. I asked ChatGPT. Sorry, Winsoft. Okay, please, God, this needs to work. Ages later, literally ages later, finally you can see the screen, and this is the content of the page right now, right? And the wallet just changed here. Now, this is what I was saying. There was no pop-up, nothing. So we need to change this and also the content here. So we'll come back here and let's do some work. So what we will do is we will remove all of this. All of this. I hope I don't create an error because of that. And now we will start writing the content that we want to see, which would probably be a few card shaped where we want to see the balance from the MetaMask wallet, and maybe once we create the interaction with the greeting contract, then maybe the message around it, right? But something of this sort is what we want to see. So what we would do is, let's first look at, okay, div class name, and then we say styles dot content, right? Make sure you close the div properly. What have I done? On class name equals to styles dot title, and then we say, okay, base batch 2, h1, okay, great. Div, oh, we need another closing div. Thank you. Oh, bro, did I just delete the earlier thing? But I was saying that we need a closing div. Okay. Okay, cool. So now once we save it, we should, okay, it will take forever again. Let it load to what we are supposed to do. So then we say we want to check if it's connected, and we also want to see its address, right? Whatever wallet that we're talking about. And then we say that whatever data here, and we want a styles dot section here, how it was here. So we need a particular section that we are talking about, but we wanted to check if the network is correct. Okay, that is our goal here. This was supposed to be div. My God, what is wrong? This is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Anyway, yeah. So how are we going to do that? So we are saying is corrected network, and then we say another thing, and then we say if not class name. My God, I've messed up the entire thing. Styles dot error message. I'll look into it later. Then, so what is the error message that we want to see? We want to see wrong network. Wrong network. Please switch to base Sepolia in your wallet, right? Okay, so this is what we want, right? Great. Can we save this? Now let me see what is wrong with. This is here. This wanted to close here. Just wanted to close one. Are we missing? Do we need? I really need the beautify here. Okay, so the entire typing thing will take like a lot of time, but anyway, so we're saying we're displaying the address and the balance. Balance dot formatted is the balance is a string with the right decimal places. We've looked into the network info and all of that, but we'll add more such cards because right now we just want to check the network and what is the balance and all of that. So depending on how you want to style it, then there would be message signing, which is the gasless superpower. Now let's like look into adding the message signing as well. Okay, so we have arranged some good portion of it, and like I was telling you that how we're adding the wrong network angle, and then we want to create a card, connected addresses, balances, blah blah, message signing, sign a message, all of these sections. This is how it looks on the front end. So this says base front end 2, connected address, balance, sign a message, hello from base Sepolia, sign message. But this looks really odd, right? Now the thing is, we can do a lot of things here, but we honestly do not have the capacity for it, right? So what we would do is we will add a CSS angle to it, and in the blog that I give you, there will be an entire prompt for it, which helps AI give you a really nice CSS for it. But right now, what I will do is probably go to the CSS file that I had created and come in here. Oops. Global.css. This really, really sucks. Again, if I type every line, you will have to spend way more than 10 days to be with me here. So now let's see how this looks. Please load. Okay, So now that we have added global.css, which I mentioned, and we've also made changes to page.module CSS, this is how our front end looks like. Pretty neat, right? Like, okay, sign a message, CSS, connected address, what is the balance? If you go here, there's an option to wallet, disconnect. And if you come to my MetaMask, let me put a password. Okay, so I have 1.4499 ETH and we rounded it off to 4 decimal places in the code here. Where did the code go again? Yeah. So we were, yeah, formatted to fixed 4. So this is how we did it. Now what we have to do is, okay, the focus was not on design ever, right? We're here to learn more on the base side of things. So now what we would do is we'll actually get into contract interaction, custom hooks, and then deployment, which is more like talking to our smart contract. So for this interesting, really, really exciting part, we have to interact with a greeter contract first. So we need a configuration file. So inside SRC, there has to be, okay, so there has to be a greeter.ts file that needs to be made. And why do we want to do it? We will create a contracts folder. We'll create a greeter.ts file and we're going to use the same smart contract that we did on the first day, which was yesterday. So we had like a greeting section, right? So what we will do is we'll create a folder, we say SRC, then we create a folder inside it called as contracts. Okay, and then we create a file called greeter.ts. Okay, very simple. Now, what happens here is we will look into interacting, and how do we do it? We do it through ABI. Okay, so we first do something as exporting the constant greeter contract address, which is again the deployed contract address that we have already added in the env. Now, WAGMI is super strict about types, and that is why we have to write this here, which is like a TypeScript type assertion. We're telling TypeScript that this is an Ethereum address format, okay, which again also helps us to catch errors before they happen. Now, from where are we going to get the ABI? So if you remember, and if you go to the first video, when we did Forge build and then we were trying to deploy the contract, in the first case, when we did not use a broadcast flag, we had this ABI generated, and only when we use the broadcast flag, then we had the deployed contract and deployed addresses, like the transaction hash and everything. So you can either redo it or you can just go back there and get your ABI. Quick information on ABI application binary interface. There are so many. You get this by compiling your Solidity contract. Foundry generates it automatically, as I mentioned. So input here means it takes no parameters. You just call it. Output tells that it returns a string, the greeting message that we are talking about. And then state mutability, if it's view, that is super crucial. It means the function only reads data. It does not change anything. If there's a type function, then that is a function, and opposed to an event or an error definition. Then we have set up the set greeting function, which is it takes one parameter, a string called new string, and everything that we have talked about yesterday. We don't want to get lost here anyway. Okay. So now with src, when we've created the greeter.ts file, we also create something as a hooks folder. Okay. So we say hooks. And then here, inside hooks, we will say use greeter.ts. Now, why do we want to do this? We want to create a custom React hook that makes interacting with our contract super easy. And this is where we're going to wrap all the WAGMI contract hooks into one clean user interface. Okay. Now, how do we do that? So we will import a few things as usual. So we will do read, write, contract, and just like general. You can look at the documentation for that. Then we have to import the greeter contract address. So greeter ABI, greeter contract address from contracts greeter, great. And then we also have to, import base Sepolia from the WAGMI chain. Okay, cool. Now we're importing three powerful WAGMI hooks. Use read contract for calling view functions that only read data. Use write contract for calling functions that change blockchain data. Use wait for transaction receipt for tracking when transactions get confirmed. And we're obviously importing the greeter ABI and all of that, right? Now, what happens here? It says export const use greeter. Okay, great. We're going to make use of things here. Data, greeting, refetch. Okay. Now, how do you look at everything? Like, do we wanna, I want to look into refetching this data as well. Like, okay, what if I want to change the information? How do I get idea about it? Like, okay, how do you know which was the old one? So we say, okay, great. So there's address for contract address, there's ABI, there's function name greet, and then there's base chain Sepolia. Okay, cool. And everything here makes sense, right? So now this hook automatically calls the function and gives us the resultant data, which we are renaming to greeting. Refetch is a function which we can call to manually refresh the data. Super useful after we update the greeting, like I mentioned. And actually, this should be, refetch greeting. Okay. Now, so no manual RPC calls, no complex setup, just pure React magic is what we're looking at here. And then there's a const section where we're talking about address, ABI, function name, chain ID, and all of that. Let me just, do I have saved this? Why is it issue here? Let us see why is it throwing error here. Oh, okay. Sorry. So we haven't done this. Okay, so it says the use read contract hook from WAGMI returns a refetch function, not refetch greeting. So we have to specify it like that. Sorry, my bad. Okay, now what do we look at? So next up, we'll declare another constant for use write contract, which is for calling functions that change blockchain state. So it returns write contract function. It is going to be the same format, just like constant. Again, it would be like super slow. How do we want to use this? Oops. Okay. So we say const, write contract, then we say data. Now when we say data hash, the transaction hash, after we send it, we're renaming this to hash. That's it. Then we say is pending. So we're saying tells us if the transaction is being sent. We will just change it to is right pending, and then we're saying error, which becomes a right error. So if something fails during the transaction, we're renaming it to right. Okay, and now this becomes is equals to use right. Oh boy, no, 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 no. Okay, great. Now what do we have? Next up, we're going to use the third one, which is use wait for transaction receipt. So we say const great is loading, which is renamed to is confirming, means it's waiting for the transaction to be mined. Then we say is success, it's renamed to is confirmed, correct. To then we say error, confirm error, great. Now here this becomes use wait for transaction receipt, and then we say hash chain base Sepolia ID. So that was more of the AI side of things. Now this is super powerful. Blockchain transactions aren't instant. They need to be mined into a block, and this hooks lets us track the process and update our UI accordingly. Okay. And what we will do next is we're saying that we need constant set greeting. Okay, so right address API set greeting, Sepolia ID. Okay, fine. This makes sense. Now what do we have to do? So everything is done. Now we need to create a helper function that wraps right contract. So when someone calls set greeting with a new greeting string, we call write contract with all the necessary parameters, which is address, API, function name, and all of that. So we say return greeting, refetch greeting, set greeting, read error, write error, and everything. So all of this makes sense, right? Like greeting makes sense. What will it return? The current greeting from the contract. Set greeting function to update the greeting. Is write pending? Is the transaction being sent? Is confirming? Is the transaction being mined? Is confirmed? Is the transaction confirmed? And all of that. So it encapsulates all the complex contract interaction logic into one clean interface. And then now using our contract feels like using a regular JavaScript function. But how are we actually going to use all of this? Like, okay, we've created a hook, but then where do we place it? How do we actually interact it? For that, we go to our page TSX again. That is where we created all of these things that you see here, right? So now we import the hook because that is important. So we'll add one more here, right? And then inside our component, we will just go about. Okay. So inside the component, we're going to build all of this here, like eating. So let's and we say, okay, we want to get all of the sequence, and then we call use greeter and destructuring everything it returns. We're also creating a local state for the new greeting that the user wants to set. Now we'll have to use effect to refetch the greeting when our transaction is confirmed. And we'll go about writing use effect and then is confirmed. Let me just come in here. Okay, let's just say we say use effect. My God, I'm so confused. So we say yes. This has been such a pain, God. So we say if is confirmed, okay, only then refetch greeting. And then we say set new greeting because that is what we want to do. Right now, we can do a lot of things here. Like further, like how do you want to look at it? And I will show you how exactly we do that. But did I miss something? No. Okay. Cool. So this is done. Now this is how we're using the use effect. When it becomes true, that means our transaction was successful. We refetch the greeting to the updated value and we clear the input field. So this gives user immediate feedback. Now we have to have an event handler where we say, okay, simple. If the new greeting isn't empty, call set greeting. This will trigger the wallet to prompt for transaction signing. So how do we do that? So similarly, how we handle the const handle sign message, we say const handle set greeting. So we say if new greeting dot trim set greeting is new greeting. Okay, cool, makes sense. Let's close this and yeah, okay. So now you know what that does. Now the UI for contract interaction, how are we going to display the current greeting? If the greeting is undefined, still loading, we show loading. Otherwise, we show the actual greeting from the blockchain. So we will create a similar card to how we've created these for message signing and all of that stuff. Here, this closes here. Okay. So now what do? We create another div and we say class name equals to, actually, let me just copy this section, right? So we say, okay, and we're gonna actually, right. So we say not sign a message, but greeter contract, and then we are just gonna keep it here. Okay, now how do we do? So it says style sort label, style sort. I don't know what is supposed to be the correct thing here. So I just go about, did I mess up the whole thing again? Anyway, so we said div class name is equals to styles dot greeting display. Okay, yes. Cool. I don't know. I feel like I've forgotten all the keyboard names, but anyway. So we say p class name is equals to styles dot label. Yes. And then we say current greeting, and then we do styles dot current greeting. But then how do we want to present this one? So we say greeting. Okay, great. But by the time it's loading, it's just shows loading. Okay. And it could be dot dot dot. And that's it. That's how you close the div. But I have done something horrible. this is where it was supposed to be, right? Wow, I have just messed up. Anyway, so we'll display the current greeting, and similarly, we'll have an update section, which I'll quickly move to. If I keep typing everything, this is never going to end. So skip. We were looking at current greeting, loading. Now there should be an update greeting where type text and set new greeting, enter new greeting. Then we want to look at sending transaction is confirming update greeting, because we want people to update the greeting, get a transaction hash there. And that is why there's a Sepolia URL, and this will be the transaction hash. So when you click on that transaction hash, it will take you to the base scan. Okay. And then we should have greeting updated successfully. If there's an error, then this is what you should look at. Fail to read contract, check address network, connect your wallet to get started. Okay. So now let's see what happens when we refresh it. Like, okay, everything that you look at in, explain and fix. Okay. Yeah. But I was saying every div that we have written, it is super easy for you to understand that how we expect them to be in a card and what we are expecting it, where are the errors coming in, what is the message, and all of that. And now we just need to make this work. Expected JSX identifier. Messed up the div somewhere again. It's not included in the return statement. Oh, it's going to take forever. Where is our error? Where did we miss it? So, okay, actually, considering what this is trying to say, return, okay. So I think this should be something like this. Over here. So we made a mistake here. We should have added it here instead of page.tsx, and then this works. So we want to see CD, 10 days of base, and then CD, base patches. And now it's time we test the entire flow. So we say npm run dev, please just work. Okay. So we follow link, and what happens here is while it loads, somebody should feel sympathetic about it. How slow is my device? Okay. So all of this makes sense, right? Like, let's take a look while everything is happening. CSS file, great layout file for us, how it looks like if you want to change font and whatever is given here, you can. This is more like related to the CSS. This is the page.tsx file. This is where we're doing all the greeting interactions. Contract interaction, checking if the network is correct, and looking at the UI part of things as well, on how you want to display it in the card structure and all of that. root provider.tsx, we didn't really change a lot of things here. We just looked at the nesting, how we did it. Wagmi, query client provider, OnchainKit provider, and all of that. And then we created this from scratch, which is wagmi.config.cs, ts. And then we had contracts and hooks. This is still not loading. Screen Studio. Okay, so we finally have it here. You can see how each of it is in a card, in a separate card. And this is a contract that I had tested earlier, but imagine, I'll show you how this happens. So if it says, hey, Sneha, congratulations, you are promoted to an intermediate base builder. Okay, now we want to click on update greeting. So this is where things are coming. We wanted to write sending transaction, we wanted to refetch, we wanted to check things, and now this is connected to base Sepolia, confirm transaction. Now, while it's confirming, see, it's an updated greeting. So the current greeting becomes this, updated greeting becomes empty, and then let me, oh, something wrong in the page. So this is how it is supposed to be. Greeting updated successfully, and this is exactly what we've been trying to do here. So enter new greetings and update greetings. So these are the things that we have written here. Greeting updated successfully. If we change the tick mark and anything here, it would just disappear. But the interesting part for me is here also the transaction hash. Now you saw that when we were here, we had added a particular link at href link, which is transaction hash. And this is what we are fetching in here. So we wanted it to return in the hash format, and in the page.tsx, we're just getting the transaction hash in general. You don't have to like write it as a separate hash. So yeah, you can see it. 43 seconds ago, 12:24 a.m. UTC. No, 1:12:24 a.m. UTC. Yeah, 6:43 a.m. Base content. Yes, let's go. So yeah, that is pretty much it. We saw so many things. We didn't do a smart contract separately, but we used the contract that we had done yesterday so that it makes sense for you how you're going to connect it. And then we used OnchainKit. There are multiple more such elements, not just wallet. There's identity, there's transaction, there's checkout, fund, token, swap, mint, and so many things which you can experiment with. Even in the wallet section, if you go here, the quick start, great, walk through setting up connections and all of that. Here is the button that comes in by default, but there's so many other things. Sign in with Ethereum, connect wallet, app with wallet model, wallet drop down, everything like it talks about, and additional components for customizing the wallet interface. So yeah, too many things to experiment with. If you really liked it, please don't forget to drop in a comment below. Appreciate the effort. If you were annoyed by the device being so slow, so am I. But we will keep building. Nothing can stop us. Do subscribe, and I will see you in the base batches building mini apps, like really cool mini apps. And yeah, join in on the Web3 Compass community. We are hyperactive. Dev3 Pack has amazing opportunities. Base in general has insane level of opportunities for developers. So come on, what's stopping you? Build, and I will see you in day 3. Oops, maybe Setu will see you in day 3. Bye guys.